Welcome. Today, we're going to break down a really simple but honestly super powerful way to think about hitting some of life's biggest goals. Things like getting in shape, building wealth, and just feeling more confident.
Have you ever felt like self-improvement is just way too complicated? There are a million optimization hacks out there telling you that you need the absolute perfect workout, the most complex investing strategy, or some 100-step plan to be more confident. But honestly, a lot of the time, all that complexity just makes hard things even harder. You just get burnt out instead of getting results.
But what if it doesn't have to be that way? The big idea we're diving into today is that the most effective path is often the simplest one. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack this easy actually framework. It all boils down to 3 core principles that really cut through all that noise.
Okay, let's get right into it with our first principle. And it's a big one, but it's super simple. Just showing up, again and again, is way more powerful than trying to be perfect every single time.
Just think about getting fit. So many of us get stuck looking for the optimal workout, right? We spend weeks researching, and then we quit a month later because it's too intense. But the truth is, the person who just works out twice a week, every single week, is going to see way more progress than someone who goes all out for a month and then just stops. Slow and steady really wins the race here.
So why does this work? Well, it comes down to this really important idea called diminishing returns. And this is key. It's the whole reason why just putting in more effort doesn't always get you more results, especially when you're chasing that last tiny little bit of perfection.
And check this out. This chart shows it perfectly. See how your first few sets at the gym give you the most bang for your buck? You get huge gains. But after about 10 sets for a muscle, every extra set you do gives you less and less and less. So you have to ask yourself, is spending double the time in the gym for a tiny extra gain really worth it? Probably not. And you know what? This same exact idea applies to investing. You've got the day trader, who is the ultimate optimizer, right? They're trying to time the market perfectly, but they usually just end up making emotional decisions. And then you have the index investor. All they do is consistently buy a little bit of the whole market and just wait. And guess what? Over the long haul, that super simple, consistent approach almost always beats the frantic optimizer.
All right, so we've covered the power of just showing up. Now for our second principle, we're going to shift gears. Removing from the external stuff, the actions, to the internal stuff. We're talking about the psychology that so often decides if we're going to succeed or fail. It's all about mastering the inner game. And getting lean is a perfect example of this. A 500-calorie deficit for one day, that's easy. But the difficulty doesn't just add up day by day. It actually compounds. It grows exponentially. By week 10, you might literally be having dreams about pizza. We fail because we just don't get how much harder it's going to get over time. And it's the exact same thing with our mindset. A lack of confidence isn't something you're born with. It's a negative self-image that we build brick by brick from years of negative feedback, embarrassing moments, and telling ourselves the same old stories. We've literally programmed ourselves to believe we can't do things. So the big question is, how do you change that programming? Well, there's a method from the classic book Psycho-Cybernetics that lays out 4 steps. First, you pinpoint the negative belief. Then you dig up the so-called evidence for it, which is usually something ridiculous like a comment from when you were 7. Then you invalidate that evidence. And finally, you start replacing it by visualizing the outcome you actually want, over and over again. You're basically tearing down the old belief and building a new one from scratch. Okay, this brings us to our third and final principle. It's all about finding the simple actions that give you the biggest results. Think of them like levers. Instead of trying to do 100 different things, you just find the 1 or 2 levers that do most of the heavy lifting. Let's talk dieting. The biggest lever here isn't some crazy, complicated meal plan. It's just avoiding what the source material hilariously calls protein slop. You know what I'm talking about? Those super processed protein bars and snacks that taste great, but just make you want to eat more. The lever is to just switch to high-volume, less processed foods that actually fill you up. That one simple change makes everything so much easier. $50! What's this? This is what a single Chipotle burrito is projected to cost in the year 2077. I know, it's wild, but it's a brilliant way to show the power of inflation, this invisible force that just eats away at your money. Now, fighting that seems complicated, but surprise, surprise, there's a simple lever for that too. Yeah, to fight that insane burrito inflation, you don't need to be some kind of stock-picking wizard. The investing lever is incredibly simple. It's a low-cost, 3-fund portfolio. You just own the entire U.S. market, the whole international market, and a bond fund. That's it.
You capture growth from all over the world, you set it, you forget it, and you just let time and consistency do all the work for you.
And what about confidence? Well, the lever for this is a really cool method called do the impossible. You literally make a list of small things you believe you can't do. Maybe it's waking up at 4:30 in the morning or running 6 miles. Then you just go do one of them. Every single time you prove yourself wrong, you build real, earned confidence from the ground up. It's that simple.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. These principles, they're not really about just building muscle or saving money. The real point, the bigger goal, is to simplify these parts of your life so you can free up your time and your mental energy for the stuff that actually matters.
I mean, when we stop obsessing over being perfect, we get all this brain space back to just do more life, To have more experiences, meet new people, try new things. That's how we actually grow, not by having the perfect workout split.
And there's this incredible story that shows what this looks like in real life. In his famous last lecture, Professor Randy Pauch talked about how he achieved all his childhood dreams. The lesson wasn't just about the dreams themselves. It was that the act of achieving things creates this amazing momentum. It's like a snowball rolling downhill. Each small, consistent win makes the next one easier, and that can lead to a whole lifetime of achievement.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. You can start applying this whole philosophy right now. So just think about your own life for a second. What's one small, simple, maybe seemingly impossible thing you could go out and do this week to start building your own